show, January 13th, 2025. Ermanni and Edwards with Mats. Woodward Sports Network, woodwardsports.com. If you're watching on YouTube, pound that subscribe button, pound that like button. If you're watching on X, good afternoon, everybody. Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend.
You chose violence to start the week, huh?
Let's do it.
A little bit of pounding over there. Yo, before I forget, I want to start off with two things. Thing one, Sean Belizean, you are heaven sent.
I saw the pictures.
100%. Yesterday, Sean Belizean had us over to the house, man. We had a little Woodward Sports, Sunday kickback session. It was a great time, man. KG was there. I was there. Spencer, D-Mac.
Man, he can cook, can he? Can he barbecue?
So that was the thing. You know how, like, you're always reserved on somebody else's food? Like, I heard it was good, but I don't know. So after everybody went, Ryan, I'm like, all right, I can't be the only one. Official. Yeah. Like, it was official like a referee with a whistle. So shout out to you. Appreciate the invite. Appreciate all you did having the guys over. The other thing I got to say before I forget, LeVar Ball, father of the decade. Shout out to LeVar Ball. 10 years ago, we saw this guy on TV just yelling and screaming and lobbying for his kids that we didn't think were any good and blah, blah, blah. He promoted and promoted and promoted. He said he was going to have 3 number 1 draft picks. Well, he got a 2nd pick overall, 3rd pick overall, and then his middle child, LiAngelo, just signed $13 million deal with Sony.
Yeah.
I'm going to slide on him like, whoa. So shout out to LeVar, man. Everybody thought he was crazy, but he's just done nothing but have 3 successful kids, even in the midst of what happened with LiAngelo and China. It's over.
Hey, shout out to you, Tom Mazzuet. Good afternoon, my friend. Lions, baby.
Lions, baby. Good to see you guys. Wild Card Weekend used to be my favorite weekend. But that's some bad football. Horrible. Over the weekend. The Washington game was the best of the bunch, and that game was okay. But I'm ready for some real football. I know tonight's a Monday night game, Rams-Vikings from Arizona. We'll talk about that, but we don't have to worry about it because we know who we're playing. We're playing the Commanders. That's the team I wanted them to play.
The Commies.
And, yep, I'm not worried about them. I don't care. Call it what it wants, karma, whatever. I ain't scared.
It should have been the Bucks.
Well, the Bucks wouldn't have been here. Then we would have had to worry about tonight's game against Frack. I don't want nothing to do with the Rams or Vikings. Let them play outdoors at Philadelphia.
KG, Pete Spivak in the house as well. Gentlemen, full house here on a Monday. And yes, we have waited all week for this matchup, and as the Green Bay Packers were playing, I did not like the way the Wild Card Weekend broke down, where they did 3 AFC and then 3 NFC. If you've noticed that, I didn't particularly care for that because you had to wait till 4:30 on Sunday to even see an NFC playoff game after the 2 were played on Saturday, and then the 1 o'clock game on Sunday. But once the Packers lost, you're like, okay, you're locked into this Washington game. And as it's going on, first of all I was thinking about watching this kid Daniels play is if you're a Chicago Bears fan, you have got to be vomiting all over yourself.
No question.
I mean, I'm sorry. I don't care what Caleb Williams turns out to be.
You're right.
This kid is special.
He already is.
He already is special. You don't hope he's special.
Yeah.
You're not counting on the fact that you think he's going to be special. This kid is as special as they come, and if you're a Bears fan, you're vomiting all over yourself. But yeah, at the end, and then he drives him down. The Baker Mayfield fumble was huge, but the doink field goal ender, Lions and Washington.
Yeah, just watching Jayden Daniels this season, man. Maz, I told you guys.
You did.
When I was at the draft, because we were staying in the same hotel, the Westin, and then after we left, on the day that everybody got drafted, we were chilling at the Westin, and the Pivot, Ryan Clark and those guys were interviewing all the draft picks kind of like right after they were drafted. So we saw all the draft picks kind of pass by us in Sullivan's, the restaurant. He's the only one that I wanted to talk to. I stopped him when he passed by me at the bar, and I said, hey, man, you're going to have a hell of a career, man. God bless you. God keep you. I said, very impressed with what I see on TV and what I saw at LSU. Like, Ryan, there was no kid in the conversation. There was an innocence there, but there was no kid. He said, man, I really appreciate that. He said, I just, wherever they go. And I said, actually, he was going to Commanders. He said, I'm just going to go there and just be who I am, man. I said, and let the team follow. But just a great kid. You watched him. He's so poised to be a rookie. I don't know if I've ever seen a rookie that poised. We've seen some rookies have some really good years. Cam had 4,000. Andrew Luck was phenomenal, and the list goes on. But I've never seen a rookie this poised. Even when they won the game, You saw when the field goal went in, like, everybody's going crazy.
No reaction.
Like, Dan Quinn has lost his mind. The team is excited. He's like, just gets up. It's another order of business. He instantly is thinking about the Lions. So, very impressed. And then, how many games did he win at the end? Like, how many times did we see him in the fourth quarter?
Half a dozen.
In overtime. Like, that's really unprecedented for someone his age. So, shout out to Jayden Daniels. I told you I didn't want to play the unknown. We're a much better team, but Jayden Daniels is a damn good player.
He ain't unknown. We know what he's got. But the rest of the team we can handle.
Yeah.
I'm not worried about Washington. I'm not really worried about any team. I just want to play a team that I didn't play already. And I didn't want the baggage with Stafford in case they win. I didn't want to play the Vikings 3 times, especially twice in 2 weeks.
Maz, that game hasn't happened. That's tonight.
Yeah.
But tell me, you're just like me. And when we watched the NFC round yesterday, I was looking at all 4 teams that played. I was like, it didn't really matter. Now, obviously, we haven't seen the game tonight, but we know what the Vikings are. It didn't matter. And there are no easy roads to the Super Bowl, but I looked at the Eagles, I looked at the Packers, I looked at the Bucks and the Commanders. I said the Lions will win by 30.
The Detroit Lions should absolutely be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, it is – I'm not going to say they should win the Super Bowl, although I do believe they should win the Super Bowl.
will.
I do believe they should win the Super Bowl. But the Detroit – there is no team in the NFC that should come into Ford Field and beat the Detroit Lions.
Yep.
2 wins away from the Super Bowl. And, yes, I'm with you. I think it's dangerous when you go out there and try to hand-pick your opponent because anything can happen. And that quarterback is as dynamic as they come with what he can do with his feet, what he can do from the pocket, by the way. So many people will look at him and just say, oh, he can run the football. He's a running quarterback. You see that dude's arm connecting with Terry McLaurin. I mean, they've got something there in Washington. I do believe the Commanders are at least 1, potentially 2 years away from being legitimate Super Bowl contenders. To your point, Maz, just one thing about, rooting for Washington to be the opponent. Here's what I'll say to that. Because I, too, was rooting for Washington. As I look at, I'm just going to pull up ESPN.com right now.
I mean, the Packers really would have been a great
Here you go.
fight for us, but they had nothing left at the end.
Here's the
when it came down
deal:
to it.
the Detroit Lions are an 8.5
I'll
point
get to that
favorite
later,
against.
man.
The Detroit Lions are an 8.5 point favorite against Washington. If Detroit played the Packers, what would they be?
10.
You think they'd be a 10-point favorite
Yep.
against the Packers?
Yep.
Okay, never mind then.
Maybe I'm wrong.
I was just
You're
going to
right.
say,
Maybe I'm-
if
you're
they
right.
play
You're
the
right.
Packers, it's
Division
probably a
game,
3 or 4.
Maybe
if they
more
played-
because of the way the Packers are beaten. You're right.
But
I
I'm
jumped the
saying,
gun.
if Green Bay had gone on the road and beaten Philadelphia, I don't think
Yeah.
they're coming to Detroit a 10-point favorite.
4.5.
Yeah, 4.5. Same with the Rams. Same with the Vikings. That's not an 8.5 point game. It's not an 8.5 point spread. Not saying that the spread dictates, who's going to win, but it does indicate a level of expectation with a matchup, I think. And
agree.
this is as good of an opponent as you can get.
So you're saying 8.5 is too high?
No, I'm saying the 8.5 is as high as it would be against any opponent.
Yeah.
There's no opponent this weekend that is as high as an 8.5 point spread.
They got the. I'm gonna do it in quotes.
Okay.
They got the easiest road
Of
is
the
what he's
remaining,
talking about.
yes.
100%.
It appears that way,
Yeah,
yeah.
100%. 100%. They have an easy road. They play the Commanders. We know what their defense is. The running game has kind of struggled with Brian Robinson. And then you got to – as good as he plays, he's still a rookie. He's still a rookie going against the best coordinator in football, Aaron Glenn. So it was fun to watch, but we expect the Detroit Lions to make quick work of this team. This is my opinion.
Guys, again,
Saturday night game.
use the super chat if you would. $5 for a comment, $20 if you want us to talk about something, and then $50 be a guest on the show. We use vMix. It's kind of like similar to Zoom or
Yep.
Skype. We just it's vMix. So
I'll give you the code.
Maz would get in
link.
touch with you, $50, and again, I throw it out there. You want to come sit in studio with us for 10 minutes at a day of your choice?
Pull up.
$500. You can sit in the Maz chair for 10 minutes at some point during the chair during the show during the week. I always throw that out there.
Hey, someone threw a $50 bill at Big D Energy today. Burn.
Did they get on there?
Threw a $50 bill on. No, they don't do it like us. They just threw a $50 bill at the show.
Oh, look at
We
that.
haven't had a $50 bill thrown our way. I heard Dante today, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm driving in, and you know me, I listen to 70s on 7, right?
100%.
So if there's a song I don't like, I'll flick it over to hear Doug and Gator. And if they're talking about anything but pretzels, I'll listen. for a few minutes. So they were talking about the Lions, obviously.
What'd you eat?
And I heard Dante come on, and I'm like, it's got to be our Dante. And it was, because he brought up the point of why don't they pay coordinators more money to keep them, and that's what he wrote in last week for us. So, Dante, I heard you. You sound good, by the way,
to the
man.
competitor.
You sound very good, but you're our guy, man. You're our guy.
He's the whole show. He's the whole network, man. He supports the network.
You know, with just the idea that you're playing Washington as well, I heard Dan Campbell this afternoon. I think they had a 12 o'clock
presser.
They had a 12 o'clock presser, and one of the things that he said was there is an excitement level about preparing for a new team, because anybody that they would have played outside of Washington this weekend would have been somebody that they played multiple times already.
There's a strong familiarity.
Exactly. He was excited about the newness of playing a Washington team that they have not prepared for yet. They had 3 days off. He said he was watching the game last night, making his notes.
Looks like he had a little son.
Who?
Dan Campbell.
Oh, did he? I didn't.
I watched it.
I was listening in. I was listening in on the way here, and I think there is something exciting to be said for that. And playing a Washington team on Saturday Night Football, standalone game on Saturday Night Football,
and it's on Fox.
I love the fact that it's on Fox. I love the fact that it's on Fox. So we get that 8 o'clock.
Your boy Brady.
Does it make people more apt to go out that it's on Saturday night than if it was on Sunday?
I was supposed to have a dinner date with our friends, Paul and Stacy, and he wrote me the minute the game finished last night. He's like, "Are we getting trumped? Are you guys forgetting about this dinner?" I'm like, "We'll figure something out. We'll figure something out."
You're not possibly going to dinner on Saturday night.
Well, if I did, it would be at a sports bar.
Right.
And I would watch it with our friends for a while. Mm-hmm. But I usually, you know me, if I'm not at the game, I'm locked at home.
Right.
So I'll see how it goes.
We're going out. We already booked our tables. The new bar downtown, Parlay.
Oh, yeah.
And it's funny. Joik is the owner. Shout out to Joik. And then a couple other cats that I know. But you got to book your table now. Like, as soon as we found out, like, just by happenstance, I called yesterday and said, hey, you know what, wow. I knew a couple people.
What'd you say again?
This is,
Wow.
this is behind the scenes. It's lingo. I want to tell exactly what was discussed.
Okay.
Right.
But he was saying, I'm glad you reached out, because a lot of people have already put in tables. A lot of people have already put in requests. So there's like places like that where you want to go. I think there's a DraftKings bar right around the corner in Troy. It's filling up. I know our own second best probably be filling up. That's what we're doing the pregame. And then even Hayes, they're going to be filling up early, so you might want to put your request in for a space.
By the way, you might want to put your request in to buy this shirt as well. WoodwardSports.com. 2024 Kings of the North, the NFC North champions. We've got that BTA. We've got that shirt. Braylon's that's Braylon's shirt.
He is taking it.
Braylon's shirt. It is now.
I finagled the situation.
Yeah, WoodwardSports.com.
Did you see the prices of these tickets?
Yes, they've come down.
Yeah.
Well, let me say, this game is more expensive than the other 3 games put together. I read that today. As far as a ticket to get in.
Yeah.
A ticket to get in this game, let's just say it's $750.
$650 I saw standing
Fine.
room.
Well, the other 3 games that are being played, combined, a ticket for those games is less than that.
Because of the newness of it. And I really believe that. It is because this is so new. The Chiefs do this every year. The Eagles play at home. All of that. And by the way, you're looking at 3 outdoor stadiums as well. The Bills, the Eagles.
Yeah, you don't have to be outside.
And the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Those
3
are
cold weather teams.
Exactly. So I think that I'm not going to pay $1,000 to go freeze my what off.
Yeah.
It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, not to mention DTW is one of the most expensive airports in the country, and this is before the Detroit Lions were doing a lick of anything. And now that they're doing anything, don't you think DTW, they're capitalizing on the prices as well? We looked at the prices to the cities that this is last year. This was this year. We were looking at tickets just to DTW. it's the most expensive airport right now because this is the big hub, and then the Lions are doing well. So
yeah, try booking a ticket to New Orleans on February.
It was
$3,200. How much?
$3,200.
Is that round trip?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
It better be.
Yeah, right. But this is what it is, and I'm telling you, this week they're going to get a player back too that's going to help them. This week was all about the rest. Dan Campbell said earlier the absolute best thing about this week was that you didn't have to actually play. It's one less win to get to your ultimate goal. All these other teams, they got to win 3 games to make it to the Super Bowl. The Lions have to win 2 games to get to the Super Bowl, and they are going to get a player back. David Montgomery is expected to play this week. Here's Dan Campbell earlier this afternoon on getting number 5 back.
A lot. 5's a big part of us. He's a huge part of us, and to me, he's a bell cow. He's somebody that he's a tone setter. He's a catalyst. So there's a place for him. There's a place for him here. So there'll be a place for him in this game. So it's going to be good to get him back.
This is going to be very similar to the Alex Anzalone situation. Obviously, when he came back, you saw the excitement of the defense. You saw those guys moving around. He was moving around, and they knew that their leader and the heart and soul was back. The defense needed that. The defense hadn't played well in those last 3 games, so the defense really needed that spark. You look at the offense, and you're like, well, how much spark can he really provide? You look at what they did against the Vikings last week. You look at what they've been doing without him and even with him. Well, it's the same exact thing because there are going to be moments, and you've seen them this season where Monty has gotten that 4th and 1 run, or he's gotten that 3rd and 2. He's picked up that tough yards. Hell, you've seen him get 3rd and 10 running the ball, but he's the 2nd tackle he's broken, and the 3rd tackle he's broken. How many times do you see him get that 3rd and 4th effort in the end zone, and he goes from should have been tackled at the 6 to now he's in the end zone, and just the little things, the blocking for Jahmyr Gibbs, the blocking, picking up blitzes for the wide receivers. When you see that, when you're in there with that energy, man, it just makes you want to be more, and it picks you up and makes you feel good. So even though they played well without him, it's that heart and soul. It's that little bit where you're like, I know I can do this because I got this guy, and also be able to depend on and do other things because you got him in there.
Did you see Dan Campbell smile when he was talking about Montgomery as that video went on, when he said, oh, yeah, we got a spot for him. We got a spot for him in this game. He's just ear to ear. It's great to have David Montgomery ready to go. He might not be 100%, but from the way it sounds, he might be 80. It sounds pretty good to me.
He's just such a big part of this offense. Everything that they do offensively revolves around that offensive line and that run game. So much has opened up, so many weapons, so many choices to go to, so many guys can beat you. And when you have 5 back, remember, I think it was the Minnesota game. It was the Minnesota game. Jared Goff in the first half got Jahmyr Gibbs blown up, or Penei Sewell, which way you want to look at it, and you're just holding your breath.
You wouldn't have held your breath if it was number 5?
Well, no. What I'm saying is, you hold your breath that that Jahmyr got blown up. That you absolutely do. But when the guy coming in is Craig Reynolds next, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just gives you a little bit of insurance if something happens. The more playmakers you have available to you, the better. Heaven forbid somebody goes out there and gets their bell rung and needs to come out for a couple of plays or has to go to the blue tent and miss a series or 2. I want 5 or Gibbs in there.
Also, too, you can switch sequences. How many times have we seen the season where the Lions start off with one of the situations, whether it's Demo, whether it's Jahmyr, and he's really trying to find, like, what is going to be the pace? Which back is going to dictate the pace? Are we going to get the ball on the outside on the perimeter a little bit more and throw some screens? Well, then we're going to need 2-6 in there. Are we going to play a little bit more ball control, time possession, physicality, run the ball, and bully the opposition? Well, we're going to get 5 in there. I think having those 2 options, it allows you to see what the defense is throwing at you and be able to change. A lot of times teams have to change at halftime. You see those halftime adjustments, but having 5 and 26, you can change series to series, quarter to quarter. So that's another thing that really helps.
Just gives Ben Johnson another page in his playbook, another fun thing that he can do. And they're playing, obviously, against the Washington Commanders. And the guys that are going to do that game are the Fox broadcasters. And the reason I bring it up is Tom Brady. And the word on the street is Tom Brady, obviously a part owner, a minority owner of the Raiders. Raiders need a coach and a general manager. Word on the street, you guys have heard it. The Raiders are enamored with Ben Johnson. Here's the kicker. Tom Brady is the announcer. He's going to be the announcer for this game, and if they win, he'll be the announcer for the following game, the NFC Championship.
And the following game after that, by the way.
For the Super Bowl. That's right. It's on Fox.
3 straight games the Lions would play on Fox.
So here's what I'm going to say. If Ben Johnson does not go to the Raiders, I think he stays. I don't think he's going to the Bears. I think we'll talk about Mike McCarthy getting let go today. Yeah. I think that's Mike McCarthy's job.
Yeah,
the Saints, that's going to either be Aaron Glenn or I don't know who else. And the Jets are either going to be Aaron Glenn or somebody else. So I don't know. There's not a heck of a lot of jobs out there. Who wants the Dallas job? Dion, maybe?
Mike Tomlin.
Nah.
Either way, we could talk more about that.
There's plenty coming with that.
We could.
Who wants to take orders from Jerry Jones?
It's just funny because
pick a guy that's going to take an order from that guy.
It's just funny because I feel like with Ben Johnson, I think a lot of Lions fans, including you, Maz, I think we are trying to look at each job and pick why we don't think Ben Johnson would take that job, because we really don't want Ben Johnson to take any job. He's going to take a job, man. You're just going to have to deal with it, buddy.
He might not.
Just going to have to deal with it,
Dan
man.
Campbell.
I'll say he's going to go to the Raiders then.
Dan Campbell was asked about
the
the coordinators and what kind of involvement he's had with that process, and he says he hasn't even asked them because it's not like he wants to hear that they're going.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to hear, oh yeah, I'm leaving. He doesn't want to hear it. He would understand it, but he doesn't want to hear it. But look, this is, by the way, this is what happens when you're good.
Thank you.
Right? This is the cost of doing business. You want your coordinators back, suck for another couple of years. I mean, I hope both of those guys get jobs, because you know what that would mean? That would mean that the Lions probably won the Super Bowl, because I don't think if they lost to Washington, maybe they're like, what if that defense gets carved up by Jayden Daniels and it looks so? What if the offense doesn't look? I don't know. I'm just saying, if the Lions have 2 coordinators that get head coaching jobs next year, that would mean that they had an awfully good 2024-2025 season, and that's what I'm rooting for. That's what happens to coaching staffs that are good. I wanted to point out, I saw this in the chat, and I wanted to mention it because I think it was a good question, and it was about, did Dan Campbell mention anything about Terry and Arnold? And he did not say anything about the injuries because he hasn't seen anybody yet. But he hasn't seen anybody yet. He said he'll know a lot more today when he sees the guys, but he knows that there were no new injuries over the 3-day layoff.
Which is he
good.
said PT has been going well.
Physical therapy.
Physical therapy is taken well. They're all getting their orders. They all know how to heal up. But it'll be great. We'll see who else pops up in the next week or two.
Mm-hmm. Did you see Terry and Arnold or something?
I did.
Hey.
I did. Snitch.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I mean, he said ask Braylon.
Where'd you see him at?
No, I saw him last week when I ran into Jalen Rose and a couple other guys.
Oh, yeah.
So I saw him then. Yeah. But he was in good spirits and good energy. That's kind of like the same thing I said. Muhammad saw him as well, and that energy, you can tell that they've been ready. They've been doing nothing but thinking about it. Obviously, Dan got a little bit of something, but they've been ready, and it didn't matter who they played this coming weekend. They were going to be ready.
Well, he ain't going to be 100%. That's for sure. He went out on the cart last week, and it was scary 2 weeks ago. And I don't think you can just heal up overnight that quickly. Again, he's taking treatment. Yeah. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He's a young man. He's going to heal up a lot easier than a veteran would. We'll keep our fingers crossed.
There's
zero ain't going to be 100%.
This is very true, but there's also a level of softness as it relates to nowadays. They're overprotective, they're overly cautious, and I understand that. And sometimes you have instances like Paul Pierce where you get embarrassed, you come out in a wheelchair, but don't necessarily read too much into the being carted off. Sometimes the carting off is precaution. They want to make sure you do everything specifically by the book. So just because you got carted off doesn't mean there's something there that won't allow him to particularly come back. So we'll see.
It's just so fun we're talking about this stuff, man. I mean,
when you think about
it's
going to go away soon.
I thought about that too.
I've been thinking about it.
No more 1 o'clock games.
No.
And these, look, we can talk about it too. These playoffs have kind of sucks. But they sucked last year, too, you remember.
Yeah.
The wild card weekend kind of sucks now.
But
Unless your team is split. Last year, everybody was freaking out this year, and I mentioned this during the college football playoff. That first round of the college football playoff, the margin of victory was 19 points. Last year in the NFL, the first round, the margin of victory was 17 points.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of blowouts now. I mean, you had the one close game, and that's it so far. And tonight's game hopefully will be close.
I think we should go over all the games and give our.
We're going to do that next.
the only thing I would say before, well, I'm not going to get into the games itself, but the difference is none of the teams look special. Last year there were blowouts. The teams that were doing the blowing out, Pauls, like they look good. Like they were a team like, okay, they look good. They look like they should be here. None of the teams that played Green Bay, their defense did a hell of a job.
And their quarterback sucks too, by the way.
100%. But that's what the problem was. Like Jalen Hurts and the Eagles,
Yeah.
I wasn't impressed. And then you look at the Buccaneers. It was an okay game. Baker was 13-15. It was an okay game, but I wasn't impressed. The Commanders, they didn't necessarily. Jayden Daniels looked good in spots, but they didn't look good all game long, and he didn't look good all game long. No. Neither one of the four teams that played yesterday looked like much of anything except the Eagles' defense. That was the only good thing I saw was the Eagles' defense.
They lost to Kobe Dean for the rest of the playoffs. That's one guy down. Yeah, at least.
18 still left.
Yeah, 18 to go.
Yeah. Guys, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll go through the games one by one. And do you see any threat? You might see a threat tonight. Some guy asked me because I played out it was the fourth quarter of the Commanders game, and I played out my scenario. And, it was Lions-Washington, Lions-Rams. Some guy says, what's your fascination with the Rams?